Hi everyone, for tonight's Nightcap and review, I'm having water, and tonight I'll be discussing A Fate Forged in Fire by Hazel McBride. This is a book I received as an ARC through NetGalley. Of course, I'm giving my honest opinion. These are the highlights and the content warnings. Unfortunately, I did have to DNF this book at 45%. If DNF videos are not your cup of tea, that's okay. Feel free to keep scrolling. However, I would like to talk about my experience with the book and why I DNF'd it. But first, what's this book about? Now, because I didn't finish the book, I'm going to read the synopsis straight from the Zon to make sure it's accurate. Once a territory built on matriarchal rule and values, TRTN has since grown frail from a long line of fruitless kings, the most recent of which have ruled under the influence of the True Religion, an oppressive group that have steadily poisoned the region with their anti-magic teachings. Born to rule and blessed by fire, Amiria has begrudgingly lived in hiding rather than risk her life in court, waiting in anticipation for the current king's death so she can bond with his dragon, claim her throne, and protect her people. But when the king dies and Amiria is ready to take what is rightfully hers, her ambitious plan is foiled and she is thrust into a game of vicious politics and plots. Her biggest adversary is Prince Fiorian, a dragon rider and one of the most powerful fire wielders in the territory. Cold, arrogant, and blindly supportive of his corrupt family, he is everything Amiria despises. But as chaos engulfs the court, they find themselves reluctantly intertwined, forced to forge an uneasy alliance, one that quickly ignites into something more dangerous than either of them expected. Behind enemy lines and slowly falling for her so-called adversary, Amiria uncovers just how far the rot of corruption has spread and what she may have to sacrifice to claim her throne. So what are my thoughts? Again, I did DNF this book at 45%. Now remember, reading is subjective and not every book is for every reader, and this just was not the book for me, but if it sounds like something you're interested in, I strongly encourage you to give it a try for yourself, and I hope you love it. I will say that at about 25% of this book, I was already on the path to DNFing it. I've set a self-rule where I give books until about 30% unless there's just something egregiously wrong with it before that, to give it a try and see if I'm interested in continuing it. And at 25%, I knew I was heading down the path of a DNF, but I was going to give it to 30. And I will say about in between 30 to 35%, the book changed. That is where it really started to pick up and I became interested until something happened. And I do feel, as a dark romance reader, a little hypocritical for these reasons as to why I DNF'd it. But for me, for this book, for these characters, I was just not vibing with the male main character for a couple of reasons. Now, to go over those reasons, I will have to include a spoiler or two, so you may want to skip this portion of the review. First is the female main character and male main character from the same family clan. Now, I don't know how many cousins were moved, I didn't keep track of it, but they are in fact related. So much so they were talking about how they share the same hair and eye color, which is so strong in this family, which means they have similar looks, which for me, I was not vibing with. It felt a little icky, which again, I know makes me a hypocrite, being a dark romance reader who reads the occasional Taboo or Why Choose, where siblings are sharing a partner, but for me in this book, it was just not vibing. This is also a true enemies to lovers where they are trying to unalive one another, and with this trope, which I love, you live for the redemption. But the male main character does some things that for me are not worth redeeming. The first is that he unalives her adoptive family whose only crime was to love and raise her, and that was it. They were actually trying to escape when they were taken prisoner, which included her younger adoptive brother, who I think was around the age of 10. I don't remember his exact age, but he was not a teenager, and his only crime was being the adoptive brother to her. Why are you going to want to redeem someone who did that to your little brother? I can't get behind that. As well as he is a true believer in the true religion, which is trying to install a patriarchy over the matriarchy, and that has views that as a woman you are lesser than men. I am sorry, I do not want to see you marry a misogynist or try to redeem a misogynist. That is just not my vibe and not what I'm looking for right now in a book. So these were just not for me. I did not really vibe with the male main character, and that's okay. If this sounds like a book you want to try, I hope you enjoy it. It will be available May 27th, so I hope you enjoy it, and I hope everyone has a good night and happy readings.